Our last case study today is 6 O'Connell Street in the city. It's a building which is owned by Colonial First State Global Asset Management, and it's managed by Knight Frank. I think it's definitely an example of a building which has achieved significant results through building tuning and following the words of getting the day-to-day right and making sure that it all adds up and following through the details is something which this building has done. Vijay Gokarn will be presenting this case study. He's the Associate Director of Facilities Management at Knight Frank Australia. Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you. Today we'll be presenting 6 O'Connell Street, which is owned by Colonial First State Global Asset Management, managed by Knight Frank, as mentioned by Matt. I think I'll quickly run through the sustainable initiatives that Knight Frank can actually provide to the industry. Knight Frank actually recognizes and promotes economic, environmental and social benefits that we can introduce to the built environment in partnership, of course, with clients, tenants and suppliers such as consultants and contractors. We seek to maximize the environmental performance of the properties in a cost-effective manner and with the application, of course, of best practice systems and processes. We also conduct neighbours rating improvement programs, action plans, operational audits, capital works programs, sustainability upgrades, etc. The building, 6 O'Connell Street, is in the CBD, built in 1970, with 26 floors of office space plus car park. Its area is 16,285 square meters, and it's not an owner-occupied but 100% leased tenancies kind of building, and it's a B-grade building. The neighbours rating currently stands at 4.5 stars, an improvement from 1.5 stars before the works, and the water rating is 3.5 stars, gone up from, I believe, 0 stars. Back in 2006, the neighbours rating was called ABGR, I believe it's called Australian Building Greenhouse Rating, I believe that was what it was called, and it was 1.5 stars, and the water rating was 0 stars. Basically, this was probably due to a lack of formalized and coordinated sustainability programs in those days, and the industry awareness and recognition of the value of sustainability was improving in those days. So the previous electricity consumption based building was 1,962,000 kilowatt hours per annum, and these upgrades achieved approximately 30% in reduction. The previous gas consumption was 3,662 gigajoules per year, and the upgrades achieved close to 50% reduction. The water consumption was 24,115 kiloliters per annum. Upgrades achieved 44% reduction. And all this was done with a minimal budgeted capex. Now, as we stand in 2012, the neighbours energy rating currently stands at 4.5 stars. The neighbours water rating, 3.5 stars. And these strategies that we implemented achieved efficiencies using the existing plant where possible, and also achieved this without significant capital expenditure. And all this with a capital expenditure of 215,230. Sorry, not only capital expenditure and R&M works. So the overall building upgrade has achieved approximately 30% reduction in electricity consumption, 50% reduction in gas consumption, and approximately 44% reduction in water consumption. Upgrade details. The objective was to achieve 4.5 stars in neighbours energy rating, 3.5 stars water rating, and to achieve efficiencies using the existing plant, and to ensure that the plant is run at optimum efficiencies. The project value was again $215,230 in capital works and R&M, and the return on investment was pretty much immediate, because the works were largely done by good building management, tuning of the systems, and a few upgrades which we will talk about. The energy costs that were reduced were close to $138,458 per year. And when we look at the building size, the area, we achieved close to $8.50 per square meter in savings per annum. Quantified results, energy, the actions below represent savings of 28.6% total energy consumption and savings of 48.87% of gas consumption. This was achieved by basically repairs to the supply and return air dampers and implementation of economy air cycles. Savings achieved were 18.9% of building electricity consumption and 26.5% of gas consumption. This was done primarily by witness testing and checking to make sure that the BMS and the local actuator positions were accurate. Most of the times you find that what the BMS calls for and what actually happens on the floor locally are two different things. So witness testing and commissioning to ensure that both of them read the same and the call, what is given by the BMS is implemented locally is very, very critical. Monitoring of outside weather conditions and improvement of economy cycle performance. Savings achieved was 4.3% of building electricity consumption and 15.2% of gas consumption. And this was basically improvement of economy cycle was night purge and control of the outside air and return air dampers. Recalibration of HVAC sensors, which achieved 2.3% of building savings of 2.3% building electricity consumption and 7% gas consumption. Then we installed CO sensors, carbon monoxide sensors, and variable speed drives to the car park supply fans and exhaust fans, condenser water pumps, cooling towers, and air handling units. And these works achieved a savings of 2.1% of electricity consumption. These were actually done because we ensured that flows were rebalanced as well. Every time a tenant moved in or did a fit out or a refurb, rebalancing is a very, very important aspect of ensuring that the flows are structured and strategized properly to achieve optimum efficiencies. And then we installed motion sensors in toilets and vacant tenancies. Savings achieved were 1% of building electricity consumption. Also, installation of submeters to car park electricity. Though installing of the submetering to car parks were not directly quantified by energy savings, it helped in the enable energy because we could exclude the energy from the total energy consumption. The quantified results for water, we installed flow restrictors, installed to all the taps, dual flush toilets, installed to female toilets, zip water saver urinals with sensors, submetering installed for accurate water use monitoring and leak detection, and the shortened air conditioning system run times actually resulted in a substantial reduction in water usage. These achieved approximately 44% reduction in water consumption. We did receive subsidies from the Sydney Water Every Drop Counts program, and these grants were utilized for some of these water efficiency upgrades such as flow restrictors, dual flush toilets, and the submetering. The additional benefits that were accrued because of all these works were improved tenant amenities, complaints were significantly lowered, which translated into tenants being happy, lower maintenance on the air handling units, cooling towers, supply fans, car park supply and exhaust fans as a consequence of the soft starts with related equipment such as the VSDs that were variable speed drives that were installed. All these complaints, and we knew that the complaints have reduced because it's all logged on a system that we have, a web-based system. You can go back to the history. Careful and proactive use of these management tools helped enormously in improving and maintaining the energy and water efficiencies. Motivation for environmental upgrades, good governance, maintain competitiveness, meet tenant requirements, concern for the environment, positive business care, etc. but good governance to provide diligent and proactive management and tuning of the plant and equipment. And by this, the building's performance was substantially improved and the asset's life was extended without major capital investment. And also, as Roger pointed out, the valuation of the property was increased substantially due to this. An important point to note in the competitiveness factor was that with increased building efficiency, the energy costs saved have resulted in reduced outgoings for the tenant. And this is attractive for prospective new tenants and also helps to retain existing tenants. Meeting tenants' requirements, providing greater improvement in tenant comfort conditions and provision of services was a motivation, and this was achieved by ensuring that the plant and on-floor sensor, the systems, worked more efficiently and effectively. Positive business care, low capital expenditure, and significant improvement. Payback period almost immediate, because the works were done as part of general building maintenance and good management systems tools that were used. And concern for the environment, by managing the property with environmental priorities, it has achieved several combined benefits, including emission reduction, tenant attractiveness due to reduced outgoings, of course, larger market perception for Colonial, for investors looking for a progressive funds management company, barriers required to be overcome. Income. Despite the low capital expenditure, we achieved positive return on investment, making this a financially viable project. Tenant issues. Most of the upgrades were completed with minimum disruption to tenants. Building management took care to develop good relations with tenants and being responsive to their needs. The tenants' feedback was very, very important. Contractor performance. Knight Frank coordinate and engage expert consultants and contractors as part of their day-to-day operations. So we had to ensure that contractors were educated and managed carefully to achieve these targets. We had to make sure that the contractors understood and met those targets. We achieved this by careful communication and execution, as somebody mentioned, of performance-based contracts, providing incentives as well as penalizing if required, that reflected contractor obligations to achieve these environmental targets. Process used to achieve environmental upgrades, description of the process, engaging of external energy and environmental consultants, coming up with sustainability improvement plans was the start of the whole process. And that developed a business case of what we could do with that improvement plan. These improvement plans identified what works could be done in the future. Who were the champions? The champions for this whole project was the invaluable support from CFS GAM, Colonial First State Global Asset Management, the asset managers from that company, the sustainability team from that company. They played a very important role in this process. Also, Knight Frank, the building management, the importance of having a really good building manager and a facilities manager on site, because the consultant can provide the tools to tell you what needs to be done. The contractor can implement and maintain it, but the facilities manager overseeing to ensure that these works are all implemented and done as required. And also, if the building manager and the facilities manager is smart enough and proactive enough, he will be able to monitor outside air conditioning that we maintain optimal conditions and comfort conditions are met. That's very important. Comfort conditions for tenants is of prime importance. And then we had good communication between the tenants, building management, consultants, and building owner, and it helped in achieving the superior outcome. Target setting, I think that is really, really important. Target setting, neighbors' ratings, targets, and performance monitoring. And these tools were used to continually track improvement and maintenance of building performance. The sustainability team from Colonial, along with KF team, continually monitored targets. Real-time and regular summary data captured by the BMS was used to ensure that all building systems perform at their optimum levels. Continued improvement, enhanced building tools, dedicated proactive building management in association with expert consultants, will generally ensure that the building will continue to achieve and maintain the 4.5 star and possibly improve from 4.5 star to 5 stars. In a nutshell, primarily it was a win-win situation for all stakeholders concerned. For Colonial, low capex, great energy savings, increased ability to attract as well as retain tenants. As far as the tenants were concerned, lower outgoings, improved comfort conditions. For Knight Frank, value add to services provided, improved tenant and owner satisfaction, and optimized operational performance. So all in all, it was a win-win situation for everyone concerned. All these were low-cost upgrades that were implemented to achieve these performance benchmarks, and of course, optimized energy efficiencies. The key point to note, don't set and forget. What requires to be done is get good skill space, engage a proactive and skilled facilities manager, get the building operations right, and you have great savings. This is done by diligent monitoring, proper maintenance, dynamic building tuning, and proactive management. This results in a win-win situation for all concerned. Building foundations. Knight Frank obviously recognizes its role in managing the environmental, economic, and more importantly now, that's becoming the buzzword, the social aspect issues surrounding sustainability. We continually seek to improve our social and economic contribution, and the environment, community, and the workplace are the three important features that we take into effect when we model any building management techniques for any particular building. Thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.